End the War chant is gathering momentum in all corners of the world as Israel prepares for Rafah invasion. Pressure is building up in the US as students in many universities across the country joined the protest over the weekend. Although, according to reports, almost 900 people have been arrested in various universities since April 18th, the arrests seem to have only spurred the protests on. Meanwhile, even within Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu's approach towards war is exasperating many. Protests demanding release of hostages on priority are gaining momentum. In a recent protest in Tel Aviv, protesters waved flags and placards and called for the Israeli Prime Minister's government to prioritize ending the ongoing conflict with Hamas. Protesters hit the street after Hamas's armed wing released a video on Saturday of two men held hostage in Gaza. These hostages were seen alive and urging Israeli authorities to strike a deal for the release of all the remaining captives in the video. These hostages were identified as Keith Siegel and Omri Miran, who were abducted by the militants during the Hamas attack on southern Israel on October 7th. The hostages appeared to speak under duress. One of the hostages appealed for the protest to continue. In fact, he said, "I have been here in Hamas captivity for 202 days. The situation here is unpleasant, difficult, and there are many bombs. It is time to reach a deal that will get us out of here safe and healthy. Keep protesting so that there will be a deal now." Saturday's video comes as Hamas says it is studying Israel's latest counter-proposal for a Gaza ceasefire after reports that mediator Egypt had sent a delegation to Israel to jumpstart stalled negotiations. Later on Saturday, crowds of protesters gathered in Tel Aviv, demanding that the authorities strike a deal for the release of the hostages. "A deal now," chanted the demonstrators as they called for Netanyahu and his government to resign. One of the hostages, that is Miran's father, Dani, attended the rally and urged Hamas leader in Gaza to agree to a deal. Organizers of the rally showed the video as protesters chanted against the authorities. The other hostage's family also promised to fight until his return. Hamas-led militants abducted some 250 people on October 7th during the attack. The military says 129 of them are still held captive in Gaza, including 34 who are dead. But now some people are tired of the iron-fisted approach of the Netanyahu government as they fear for the hostages and want their release to be the government's agenda.
This state is ignoring them, and what kind of a state that is meant to be a safe place for Jews? It's the most unsafe place to be a Jew now, and it's just absurd that the state is not doing anything to bring them back. I don't know what they expect.
Both people, the Palestinians as the Israelis, have been captured by leadership that is not counting them as the most important part of the story and their job.
We've been terrorized by our government, by our leadership for more than 6 months. They haven't been doing whatever they needed to do prior to October 7, and they keep doing nothing or just fighting against us, against the people.
Meanwhile, the protests against Israel's war with Hamas began at Columbia University earlier this month before spreading to campuses across the country. They have posed a major challenge to university administrators who are trying to balance campus commitments to free expression with the complaints that the rallies have crossed a line. Not just US, even other countries have reported anti-war protests in Germany, Australia, and even UK. Police dismantled a pro-Palestinian protest camp set up in front of the Reichstag building in Berlin by activists demanding for the German government to stop arms exports to Israel and for an end to Israeli bombing in Gaza. French riot police were positioned at the pro-Palestinian protest, which occurred at Elite Sciences Po University in Paris over the weekend. Students blocked the main entrance to the campus, demanding a clear condemnation of Israel's action by the university. Even the White House hasn't been spared in US as it was surrounded by protesters during the prestigious Correspondents' Dinner. The White House on Sunday said US President Joe Biden had again spoken with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu as pressure builds on Israel and Hamas to reach a deal that would free some Israeli hostages and bring a ceasefire in the nearly 7-month-long war in Gaza. The White House said that Biden reiterated his clear position as Israel plans to invade Gaza's southernmost city of Rafah, despite global concern for more than 1 million Palestinians sheltering there. The US opposes the invasion on humanitarian grounds, straining relations between the allies. Now, all eyes are on Israel. Will it press on with its intention to eliminate Hamas and attack Rafah, or prioritize the release of hostages? Do tell us what you think about this video in the comment section, and for more news updates, subscribe to India Today.